Hello everybody, and welcome back to the Sunshine Hacking tutorial. I'm your host Wade, and today I will be showing you how to populate your custom level with objects and entities. Is this tree right here. I'm going to click it, and it's going to tell me in the level what it's called. Okay, it says that it's called Banana Tree. So what I'm going to do is objects, if you remember from our previous video, are stored inside of the map object folder. So majority, and not all, but majority of the objects placed within a level you'll find in the map objects folder. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to double click that, and here it shows us all of the objects in our stage. And I'm going to try and find that banana tree we have here. So let's just type in B-A-N-A-N-A, banana tree, there we go, banana tree BMD. And then here's the banana tree's collision, and as you can see, the banana tree has leaves, and all those leaves have a collision as well. So what we're going to want to do, if we want that tree in our custom stage, we're going to have to take everything here. So I'm going to hit the visual model, the collision models, get everything for the banana tree, and I'm just going to hit copy. And now that I have that copied to my clipboard, I can go over to our custom stage and go to its map objects. So I can go double click here, and I will hit paste, and bam, now I have the banana tree inside of this level. But you might be saying, where is it in the level? It doesn't exist. And that's true. We just have its files and loaded into the game's memory now. I'm going to show you over in our Bianco Hills level, underneath ID group 3, so you can see this group here, ID 3. That is our objects group. That means that whenever we find an object in the stage that is under the object group, that will be located in ID 3. So I'm going to click the tree, and it'll have this red box around it. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click it and hit copy. And I'm going to go down to the one for our stage, and I will go find ID 3, okay, and then I'm going to right click and hit paste. And as you can see, that brought the tree right into our level from the other stage. Now, this is a very simple example of an object. There are many, many, many ways to get this game to crash, most of which are just objects. So I'm going to be showing you another thing that objects have. You see this BCK? BCKs, I believe, are like physical animations. So you see how it says shine, demo, shine, get. So this is the animation for when Mario grabs a shine sprite, I believe. And then there's other ones where instead of BCK, it says BTK. For example, Bianco Hills water is an actual model, and as you can see, here's the rivers and stuff. But not only does it just have a model, Bianco River.bmd, it also has this Bianco River.btk. Now, what is a BTK? So when you play Mario Sunshine, you'll notice that the water feels realistic. It's not static. The water's moving. This BTK is a texture animation file. So this BTK will tell the game how to move the water to make it look realistic and stuff. So that's the texture animation. Now, just like texture animations, there are also 3D model animations. So for example, shine sprites. Okay, I got the shine sprite demo shine get. So this animation file right here is for when you collect the shine sprite, and that's the model itself physically moving. So there's BTKs, which are textures moving, and BCKs, which are models moving, if you can think about it that way. And sometimes, if you put an object in your stage, and you forget the BCK, well then it might crash the game because it doesn't know how to move the model. Or if you don't have the BTK, it'll also crash the game. There's also BMT files. What is a BMT exactly? Glad you asked. BMTs, let's say that this bridge right here in Bianco Hills has a little wooden texture, and this thing also has a wooden texture, and this thing also has a wooden texture. Dang, wouldn't it be useful if these two objects using the exact same texture we could save some space on the disk by having them both use the same picture, the same PNG. Well, that's what a BMT is for. BMTs are basically a collection of a bunch of photos all jammed into one mega photo. And so instead of having a billion different copies of the same photo, they have every single object will just reference the same photo. Lastly, we have JPA. JPA is the particle effect extension. So there should be smoke particle effect that happens at the top of Corona Mountain, for example. So if we go over here to the top of Corona Mountain, you can see that we have a static map OBJ top of Corona particle emitter. And so that'll emit the smoke particles. So that's an example of a JPA. It's a particle. I think that explains everything we'll see in the objects folder. Something else you might want in a level is red coins. Now, you might be thinking, oh, red coins would be super easy to set up. You just put 8 of them in a level, but oh boy, it could not be any more complicated if they tried. So let's just start by getting 8 red coins in our level. Alright, so I'm going to copy, and I'm going to find the ID group 3 again. Alright, so now I have all 8 red coins in the level. So now what I need next is the shine that they will spawn once I collect all of them. So I'm going to take the one in Bianco Hills. So here's the shine that spawns when you collect all 8 red coins. Now do keep in mind that these shine sprites also have their own object key. You can think of object keys as names. The names will just let the game know when to reference something. So like, oh hey, do you know Jim Bob from accounting? No, I don't know Jim Bob from accounting because he doesn't have an object key yet. I'm going to have to name him Jim Bob from accounting. So the only reason I bring this up is because shine sprites have object keys that tell it what to do when 8 red coins are collected. So once you collect the 8th red coin, it'll say, hey, where's Jim Bob from accounting? And then it'll go, ah, here I am, let me spawn into the level, here I am. Now do keep in mind that whatever direction the shine sprite is facing is the direction that the camera will be facing once you're done collecting it. Inside of the Bianco Hills stage folder, we'll go to this SP folder. This is for sun scripts. Essentially, you can think of these as special events if you want to do the SPs for special. The red coins are considered a sun script, a scripted event. So the game doesn't actually have a coded into the game's code way of determining whether you collect 8 red coins. The actual detection for that is done through scripts. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this red coin script from Bianco Hills, and we're going to put that into our level. Should be... oh, look at that. Our stage doesn't have an SP folder, so we'll just create one. Alright, and we'll paste that in there. Cool. So now we have the script. So now the red coins will actually ask for Jim Bob from accounting, instead of just getting collected and then going, what now? There's one last thing we need to do. I'm going to go over to tables.bin. Now remember, tables.bin is just kind of like the scene, but just different and has different things in it. Mostly stuff relating to cameras and camera positions and stuff. For right now, our level editor uses the 1-up mushroom as a visual representation of the cameras. So when the shine sprite spawns into a level, the game needs to know where to look at it from. The game could look at the red coin shine sprite and be like, oh, look at me, I'm all the way out here on this hill. Oh, look at that shine sprite in the distance. That's not very helpful. When the shine sprite spawns, the player wants to know where it is. So you're going to want to put your camera pretty close to the shine sprite. It is this camera map info thing right here. This is what's responsible for helping the shine sprite to spawn. So I'm going to hit copy. And I'm going to remember that this is in the very first camera map tool table. Alright, here's our first camera map tool table. We're going to hit paste. And we can just see our camera here right now. Okay, so let's drag this over around to where the shine sprite is spawning in. Also, you know how the shine sprite was Jim Bob from accounting? The camera itself for the shine sprite also has a name. And those names correspond to each other, so don't mess them up. Otherwise, it won't work. Alright, and look at that. Upon collecting our 8th coin, the shine did spawn. So, that's kind of the basics, so now let's get into some of the more advanced stuff. Okay, so what's any good level without a couple villains, without a couple enemies to stop your progress? Right now, in Bianco Hills, we have this thing called the Sambo Head. That's this guy right here. So, enemies are a little bit different than objects. Enemies have managers. So, what a manager does essentially is it tells... Think of it as the AI for the doodad. So here's our doodad, and we need an AI for him. We need the game to tell him, hey, this is where you go, this is what you do, you're an enemy, and you do enemy things. So we're going to get this guy, and we're going to put him into our level. So he is a Sambo Head. So we're going to go inside of our Bianco Hills folder and look for Sambo. Alright, so we have Sambo, Sambo Flower, Sambo Head. What I'm going to do is just to play it safe, I'm going to take all 3. Because they're all titled Sambo, our guy's called a Sambo. And I'm going to go into our stage, and I'm going to paste. Now note that the Sambo data isn't in the objects folder, because this isn't an object, this is an enemy. So the enemy data tends to be stored within the scene folder, right next to the map folder and the map object folder, but they tend to just kind of be here in the scene folder. So I'm going to go down here, and we're going to find ID group 7, and then I'm going to hit paste. Bam. Okay, so I got the enemy inside of the level, and that's good and all, but we don't have the manager, so it's still going to crash. I have the guy in the level here, but there's also going to be a Sambo Head manager up here at the top of the list. You can scroll all the way to the top, and we can just go till we find Sambo Head manager. So I'm going to hit copy, and then I'm going to paste the manager in here, and now the game knows how this guy's going to move and react to things. So enemies have one extra step, and that one extra step is the manager. Now, if you're like me, and you're kind of lazy, you might be like, oh, this is so annoying, I have to copy and paste from an existing level and go do a billion files, and then why can't it just be one click and just be like, oh, I want this thing now, so I'm going to do this thing. I want this guy, so I'm going to put it here. Well, actually, we do have a solution for you. That's where this wizard comes in. So, what the wizard does is essentially... you can hit this backup object assets into editor assets folder. And what will happen is it'll take all of the objects in the stage and store it for later. It'll take all the objects and put it in a room with where you can take it out later. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to store them for later. So I'm going to go to my Bianco Hills. I'm going to hit wizard and then backup objects assets into assets folder. And then I am going to get our Bianco Hills, and I'm going to go to it, and I will just select the scene folder right here. So inside the scene folder is our objects, our map objects, everything. The one folder that contains everything. We're just going to click that and then hit select folder. Alright, and after a few seconds, it'll say backed up assets from stage folder into editor's game assets folder. Alright, that's a big mouthful. But what did that actually do? So with that new objects stored, what we can do is we can go over to our custom level, and let's say we wanted to add another enemy. So right now we have Sambo Head, so I'm just going to right click that, and I'm going to hit Insert Object Wizard. And what that's going to do is that's going to bring up this menu. And this menu is basically your Minecraft creative mode inventory. This is where you have everything. So I'm going to go to enemies, and wow, here are the list of all the enemies that I personally have backed up, ready to use at any time, a moment's notice, right here, right now. I have all this stuff right here for free. So I can add whatever thing I want. So I'm going to add a cataquack. Okay, our cataquack's internal name is Poihana. So we're going to hit this cataquack option. So we got Poihana and cataquack. And you see how it says include manager and include assets? What it's going to do when I add the cataquack is it's automatically going to add the manager and all of the data for the cataquack. So I'm just going to hit add object. And if I move my camera, you can see that it just added a cataquack for us, which is absolutely insane how quick that and easy that was. So where do cataquacks live? They live on the beach, and we're going to have this cataquack protect this red coin. But in order to protect this red coin, the cataquack needs to know where to move. I can't just have the cataquack stay still, otherwise the player's just going to get the red coin and walk away. The cataquack has to move around the red coin to protect it. So what we need to do now is we need to set up an enemy path, a path for the enemy to follow. These are what are known as rails. Rails can also be used on platforms and objects for you to jump on, so you can make moving platforms, but rails dictate where things go. So I'm going to just open up Bianca Hills to show you an example. I'm going to hit Rail Editor in Tools, Rail Editor. See this cloud platform? This cloud platform goes on this little loop here, Cloud 04. And so when the level spawns in, when you spawn in the level, the cloud goes, okay, I'm going to here, and then 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 I'm going to here, and it just goes in a circle around this pillar, based on that line. Now, let me explain what each little square is. So, each square is like a point on the line. So, you can see that the angle changes after each point. That's because it's a destination. You can think of it as like a train or something. The train has to go to the first stop, and then it goes to the second stop, then the third, then the fourth, to the fifth, to the sixth, to the seventh, until it went right back to where it was beginning. The way these work is different for each object. The documentation for this is on the wiki with the collision. You can, same web page. I'll probably link it in the description. But you can see there are values for each of these nodes on the little train's track. These do different things for different objects. Right now, you see how it says 400 in all of these? That's the speed value for the cloud. Right now, the cloud is going at 400 units per second. And then once it gets to this rail node, oh, it's still going at 400 units per second. Once it gets to this one, okay, maybe that one goes at 600 units per second. So then when it gets to that node, it'll go slow, go slow, go slow, gets to this, speeds up, and then goes slow, go slow, go slow, go slow, and then speeds up. And so you can do stuff like that. You also may notice this C1, C2 count. These are connections. So essentially, what this is telling us is where this node is going to. So this is node 1, this red square right here. This is our node 1. And so this C1 is telling us where we're going to next. Okay, next we're going to node 0. And so, alright, there's node 0. And then C2 is the previous thing we were at previously. So before we were at 0, the previous thing we were at was 2. So here we go, C2. This is our previous thing. So our previous thing was 2. So node 1 is telling us that the previous node before it was node 2, and that the next node it's going to is node 0. And as you can see, we're at the red cube right there, that it was going in a line. And this line ends up going in a circle. So that's just kind of like a rough breakdown of how rails work. They might sound a bit complicated, but they're pretty simple once you get to know them. So anyways, we need to give this cataquack its own path to follow. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give him a rail. So I open up our rail panel, and we're going to have a brand new, fresh, empty rails. No rails in this level whatsoever. So let's add one. There's this button, it says add, we'll add a rail. And then this window is going to pop up. and we can name our rail. I'll name it Pizza Pants. Pizza space P-A-N-T-S. You can name rails whatever you want. So this is the Pizza Pants rail. And now we need to give it some nodes. So I'm going to hit insert before, after, and either of those will start adding nodes. So let's make a rail with 8 nodes. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. Our rail has 8 nodes, or you can think of them as like 8 different train stations for the train to get to. Alright, so we're going to start setting up those train stations one by one. So what I'm going to do is the quickest and easiest method I've found to making rails real easily. There's this button that says set position to camera. So we can select each node, and then we can hit select position to camera, and then that will make a node right where our camera is in the editor. So I have one right here, so I'll just create one over here, and let's go a little bit more here, 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 and go a little far out, go this direction, and then go back here. Alright, and let's see. Okay, here are all of our points. This is where the Cataquack's gonna walk. He's gonna walk between all these points. But you might be wondering, where's the lines? There's no longer any lines. The other stage had lines, but there's no lines here. And that's because I didn't tell it where is the next thing it's going to or the previous thing it's going to. I have rail node 1, and there he is right here, but he doesn't know where he's going to next, and he doesn't know where he's been in the past. So we need to tell it how to do that. Lucky for us, we have a very simple button that says connect points as loop. And so you can just hit that, hit yes, and bam, it will connect all of the points we've made as a nice big circle for our convenience. Now, this was always going to where the camera was, so it's kind of up in the sky, and I want that to be down on the ground where the Cataquack is. So I'm going to put the Cataquack down to ground level. There we go. And I am going to take the Cataquack's Y position. So Y is height, up and down. So I'm going to take the Cataquack's Y position, and I'm just going to copy that on in to the Y position of every single rail node. So here's the Y position, and well, bam! Now we have a Cataquack, and we even have a path that he will follow. And he will protect our little red coin here. Now, there's one last thing to get this all to work, and that is to give him the role of Pizza Pants. So we told the game that there's this path, and we named it Pizza Pants. But we need to tell this Cataquack to follow that path. Right now, the Cataquack has this variable down here called rail. And what we need to do is we need to give its rail variable Pizza Pants. So we'll go P-I-Z-Z-A P-A-N-T-S, Pizza Pants. There we go. Now the Cataquack will follow the Pizza Pants path. Say that 10 times fast, I guess. Alright, so that is a basic rail, and we can see how that goes in Engine. Alright, so as you can see, the level kind of crashed while it was still booting up. So this is a perfect time to showcase how you can read panic handlers again. So right now we can see it says enemy and T-walk enemy. Okay, so it seems like there's some problem with some enemy. Let's see. Small enemy. So it's probably not a boss. I mean, we can tell that because I didn't put a boss enemy into the stage, but, you know, just little context clues you can get from this crash screen. We'll wait for it to keep printing. Now that it has these dots and it's hit the bottom, I'm going to scroll back up with the D-pad. And let's see. T-nerve Sambo head. Okay, so this is telling us that the enemy here is the little pokey, the little doodad, the ball dude, not the Cataquack. We know it's not the Cataquack because it tells us Sambo head right here in the crash. I have a hunch that it's just that we were missing one of these managers. So let's see, we have the Poihana manager for the Cataquack, we have the Sambo head manager, but we don't have the Sambo flower manager. Perhaps we just need the flower manager and then it'll work. I'm going to hit copy on that, and I'll paste that manager right into our level. So now we have both of the managers. Hey, what do you know? It didn't crash this time. Alright, so let's take a look at our enemy. Oh, there he is. Alright, now we can squash him, and he spawned a coin. Wonderful. And over there, we have our Cataquack. He's protecting our red coin, and he's walking along his path. But, you know, honestly, it's still really easy to get this red coin without him even noticing. Maybe I should make it so that the Cataquack itself, when defeated, gives me a red coin. Alright, so with our Cataquack selected, we have this variable below the rail that says spawn obj ID. So right now we have that set to -1, and if we go to our spawn IDs from the Sunshine Wiki, we have -1/default, which is nothing. It spawns nothing. But if we want it to spawn a red coin, we can just set that value to 200. So we'll go ahead and set this value to 200, and now, when we kill the Cataquack, when we bop its head, it'll spit out a red coin. Let's bop this Cataquack, and as you can see, it spawned me a red coin. So I can remove this old red coin because we don't need it anymore. The Cataquack will spawn it. So our level has its villain, but you know, we kind of could use some friends, right? Like, it's just Mario out there. What if we had a Pianta? So I'm gonna add a Pianta to our level. So let's just find a Pianta from the original game. This person. Let's go with this person. He is NPC Monty MC, and he has an object key of blah 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 G. This is going to be very similar to the way that red coins work, but it bears repeating. So I'm going to go over to Bianco Hills, and instead of going and finding an enemy, there's going to be a folder titled Monty MC, Monty Common, Monty Blue, Monty Blue, blah, 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 blah. But just for the sake of brevity and of not having to test things a billion times, I'm going to copy everything named Monty. Alright, so this is the data for the Monty, which is the Pianta. And I'm going to take this and data, and I'm going to put that directly into our level. So I'm going to hit paste. Okay, so now we have the data for the Pianta. As you can see, here is his model. Wow, look at that. It's a Pianta. Crazy. So, we have the data for the Pianta in the level. We just copied and pasted it over. And now we need to have this entity in the level. So, I'm going to go ahead and find the group it is in. It's in group 9, ID 9. And he is this G guy, so I'm going to hit copy. And then I'm going to find ID 9 in our level. ID 9, paste inside the NPC group. And there he is. So let's just, let's say we want this Pianta to be slightly smaller. We could make him 0.75. And we can make him just a slightly smaller than average Pianta, just for the funny. Alright. Now he's a slightly smaller than average Pianta. Alright, so there's a bunch of other variables. So just like the Cataquack, we can have a rail for our Pianta and make him walk somewhere. There's also a body color variable. Let's set his body color to 8. See what color that is. Clothing color, so you can change the color of his clothing. So let's also just put that to 8, why not? Pollution state, this sets whether he is polluted or not. I'm not going to mess with that. ACC 1 color is the accessory's color, so let's just give that 8. And accessory 2's color, I'm going to give that 8. Accessory 3's color, I'm going to give that 8. Alright, and then here is accessory value itself. This tells the game what accessories this guy is wearing. He could be wearing a hat, he could not be wearing a hat, he could have a mustache, he could not have a mustache. I'm just going to give him 8. And then idle is his animation he has when he's just being there and existing. So let's just give him the ID animation 8 for his animation. Okay, chucking. This is determining whether he is going to throw you. Right now that's 100, and then I assume the 100 is for having it be there. He is not going to throw you. And then throwing length, throw height. And then reward object ID is what he gives you if he is an NPC that gives you a thing. So he could give you a blue coin, a 1-up, or a red coin. That's what he does when he gives you something. Right now, I'll keep that to -1 because we don't really want him to give us anything. We don't want him to throw us anywhere, don't want him to give us anything. Alright, so we have an NPC in here, and we've even accessorized him a bit. So there's still another step that's kind of missing right now. So just like the red coins, we have a script that we need to copy and paste over. So we're going to go into our scripts folder, that SP folder, and we are going to find one called talk event, and that one tends to be the one that has the NPC dialogue programmed for it. If you want an in-depth breakdown on how Sunscripts work, I believe Oggs did a tutorial video or 2 on this, so I am not the best person to ask about decompiling and compiling Sunscripts, but we can at least use the base games one relatively easily. So I'm going to hit copy, and I'm going to paste the talking event right into my stage. Perfect. On top of the talking event, we need to get the words he actually will end up saying. So I'm going to take the Bianco Hills dialogue. So here's message.bmg. I'm going to copy over message.bmg, and I'll put that into my level. And that will have all the dialogue that the NPCs talk about is in this message BMG. Okay, so I have the NPC in here, I have the message dialogue, but do not forget to get the NPC's manager. So we have Monty up here, so I'm going to have to hit copy and make sure to get the Monty manager. So there we go, Monty managers. Alright, there isn't any other Monty managers we're forgetting. Nope. Okay. So I think that should be everything we need to get the NPC to work. So let's test it out in the game and see what we got. Alright, well, when we set everything to 8, we ended up getting a guy with a blue shirt, some glasses, who's also blue, and he is very mad. He is so pissed off. What is he pissed off about? Let's talk to him. You want to try climbing on the ropes? It's easy. Never fear, just get up there and bounce around. You'll be fine. Okay. Well, this is not very indicative of an angry guy. This is just kind of a happy guy. He's being helpful. He's telling us to bounce on some ropes. Like, I don't know. That doesn't sound about right. So we still need to edit his text. So the way we can do that is with Josh's BMG editor, which will be linked in the description. Alright, so we're going to take that message.bmg and we're going to load that into our message editor. So I'm going to hit find. Right here, we have the message for the guy who talks about the ropes. And we can progress the text and you can see it does stuff. So now we can tell him to say whatever we want him to say. Alright, let's talk to this angry guy again. Dang, wouldn't it be cool if Wade knew how to write things without grammar mistakes? His grammar mistakes make me mad. Yeah, he's mad. So anyways, that's how you get an NPC to work. Okay, so we are almost done with our level, but we want to put on one last final touch. So you see this blue line? This blue line, and there should be another red line too. These are the lines that represent where the camera moves during the loading of the level, when you're like first spawning in. So I'm going to hit Tools, and I'm going to hit Camera Editor, and I'm going to hit Run Demo so you can see what I'm talking about. So the camera starts off at Shadow Mario. It's looking at Shadow Mario. Then it zooms out, and it zooms out, and it zooms, it keeps zooming, and it's zooming. Oh, look at this. You get a nice view of the town, up the trees, all the way back to the beginning of the level. Just like that. And then it waits a little bit, and then it ends. So that is the little level intro, because this is Mission 1 of Bianco Hills, and we want to give the player a little intro to where they want to go in the level. So similarly, we have to do that for our own level, right? So let me show you how it's done. So we're going to go to Tools, and we're going to hit Camera Editor, and we're going to hit Make Demo. And what we're going to do is we're going to hit File, Load, and this will load in the existing level demo. In many cases, there'll be a bunch of already existing frames. You can tell the frame already exists because it's red and blue. We can just hit minus to get rid of it, or you can hit plus to add a new frame. Adding a new frame will bring open this window, yada yada yada. You may notice that there's a bunch of numbers for each frame. Now remember that there are 60 frames Now remember that there are 30 frames every second in Mario Sunshine, because Mario Sunshine is a 30 frames per second game. So each 30 frames is going to be 1 second. So if we scroll to the end here, 479 frames worth of playtime. We can increase the duration by using this duration thing right here, and we can make it more than 480. And so you can make it longer. Just like Rails, we have the Set Position to Camera button, which is what we're going to be using to set everything up. So first, let's get our starting position. And you'll notice these are the keyframes. These are the ones that it'll jump between. So just like Rails and how it's kind of like a train with like train stops, that's the exact same way with our camera. So we have our train stops right here. Here's our first train stop. And it says look from keyframe and look at keyframe. And the look at is the red line. Because if you remember at Bianco Hills, the red line is where it was looking at. So it was looking from this blue spot, and it was looking at the red spot. So roughly like here. So we're going to do something similar with our level. So let's say I want there to be another frame in the middle, right in the middle. Let's just add another one. And that is 236, so I am going to give it a time of 236, and now we have an extra frame so we can have the camera go between the starting position, the middle position, and then the end position. So let's start by doing a look at keyframe. Okay, so let's say we want it to look at this red coin right here. So I'm going to go put my red point, the red box, and I'm going to hit Set Position to Camera because my camera is right at the red coin. So I'm going to hit the Look At keyframe, and you can tell which one you have selected because it tells you at the top. I'm going to hit the Look At keyframe, and I'm going to hit Set Position to Camera, and I'm going to do that for all of my spots. So now, no matter where it is in the video, it'll always be looking at that red coin. Alright. And now we need to have a path from which the camera goes. So let's have the camera start up here, and so I'll go down here, hit my blue button, and hit Set to Camera, and then we're going to have it keep looking at that red coin, but we're going to have it look at it from different angles. So we're going to have it look at it from this angle, and then the very last one, last frame, can have it look at it from here. And so Set Position to Camera, and then once you hit File and then you hit Save, it'll generate the line. And as you can see, we have it in our timeline, our little timeline editor over here, that the camera starts off up here with this blue spot and stares at that red dot we put there on the coin. And when it gets to frame 2, it goes to here, and then it will continue looking at the coin, and then it'll jump to here and still look at the coin. So let's see how that looks like really quickly by hitting Tools, and then Camera Editor, and Run Demo, so we can see what that looks like. Okay, so now we're getting this orbit on this red coin right here, and now it zooms in on that red coin and lets you know how cool it is. And that's kind of our little level intro. So now, when the level loads in, we'll have that happen. As you can see, it is playing our little red coin camera. If you need any help, as always, we are available to help you out by talking with us in the Sunshine Hut. The Sunshine Hut is the community hacking Discord server, so it is the best place to get help.